So yeah, Cash. Now is you can share the short term perspective.
Awesome. Right. So let's actually talk about this bottom that we formed here. I was expecting Bitcoin to sweep this low here, which is 31,100, and it did, and we kind of bottomed at around 30,000, 31,000, and then we saw like a 24% surge, hit a dead end here after sweeping these highs here, and personally I was expecting it to go down to the 62% fib, but it did not. We kind of bottomed out on the 50% fib after sweeping these lows. So currently what's happening is I think we may have hit a local top, after sweeping these highs here, and we kind of barely swept these highs here.
This is the 4 hour chart, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah. So
I think you also have like a sell signal by the TD, by the way, and the 4 hour chart, which kind of like coincides with the kind of like the local top that you have marked. But yeah,
I think it's loading.
yeah, I don't know what's happening with the
Yeah.
MRI. Yeah, there you go. Hmm.
Right. So this is interesting. So I'm positioned myself short yesterday, and I'm expecting it to go down to either this cluster here, around 37, 500, 400. But generally, I'm looking for it to come down to this demand zone here. Right. This would be an ideal buy. So expecting a similar thing to happen here, like how it bounced off the 50 level. This rally, it raised 50%. So I'm expecting this to do the same as well. Like this whole rally to retrace 50%. This is like a short-term perspective that I'm looking at, and the target still remains the 42K, somewhere around here, which is the top for the head and shoulder thing, the right shoulder. But right now, although TD is indicating a top here, like either of the scenarios could happen. Like we could just do this for a while and then sweep these lows and then come back down, or we could just go back down and then sweep these highs. So personally, I'm looking at this. I have a tight stop loss placed above the short here. But generally, I'm looking
Interesting.
at a downswing first.
Yeah, so basically you like, regardless if the downswing comes now or if you have basically a period of like short-term consolidation, you're expecting the 42,000 level to kind of like put a stop to Bitcoin's upswing, right?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. It's not outside the realm of possibility. We could easily like swing higher. Another bullish news like what happened with Paul Tudor yesterday. We could just do this and then come back down here.
Okay, okay, perfect. So do you have anything else on Bitcoin?
Yeah, and another thing that I'm looking at is from a daily perspective is this is where we began the descent.
Mm-hmm.
So even if we do get these highs and then we go higher, this is the maximum that I'm looking at for it to go, which is around 45K, give or take,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of coincides with the demand zone here. And on the lower time frame, yeah, I have a demand zone set up here, right? So it kind of coincides with this 50 thing. So we could sweep these highs as well if it kind of turn bullish,
Yeah, I believe that
right?
also coincides with the 50-day moving average, that 50% level, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
not mistaken, right? Like yeah, you'll
Yeah,
it's a cluster of
almost.
resistance right there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is what I'm. Sorry, Sheldon, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, the 50-day comes in there pretty
Yep.
close to it,
Mm-hmm.
and also the anchored VWAP comes in at 46. So
Yeah. So there's a lot of confluence here happening. So if we flip this 50 and 44, like you and Ali mentioned, I'm pretty sure like things are going to change for the good. But I'm quite unsure about the dead cat bounce now. Also, if you look at the fear and greed index, we've already moved above the consolidation here.
Mm-hmm.
So my scenario where we reach 42K, probably even 44K, would get the retail like extremely bullish. Uh, and we'll probably go once we flip above 50. I think the retail is gonna get extremely bullish.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was I was one of the things I noticed though yesterday in the social volume was that it hasn't well it did on the El Salvador news, but then it dropped very quickly and fell way down. I think it was back to March levels.
Hmm.
And the spike off Musk was not nearly as high as Salvadorian news. So to me, I think the public is still a bit reluctant at this point. I think it's going to take quite a bit for them to get more enthused and pushing you know, hyping the currency higher.
yeah, yeah. Definitely. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
Go
is
ahead.
really interesting because right now I think Bitcoin is outperforming most of the top altcoins right now.
Yep, it is.
So people are still unsure about altcoins, so they're kind of rotating the capital back to Bitcoin. So we're seeing higher rallies for Bitcoin as compared to other altcoins. Except an exception is Matic, which has performed really good in the last 3 days.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, it's done exceptionally well.
I have a question, Akash. Do you have the IO map? Because I believe that the IO map also says that basically the most significant level of resistance ahead of Bitcoin sits at 43,000 dollars, if I am not mistaken. Um, I I have it here just in case. But yeah,
Are you talking about
just
the
got it.
global or the
I
IMF?
believe the IO map.
IOMAP doesn't show
Yeah, it's
show
up to
much
only
resistance.
46K.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. What about the global?
Yeah, so we're currently losing this level, which is quite a large number of investors.
Yeah,
This is also not that great, which spans up to 38K.
I see.
38K, which no, it's quite higher. But it goes up to, yeah, I think, wait, why is global showing such small ranges for BTC?
Basically, yeah, it's like a $400 range. No idea, no
Yeah,
idea.
not even for 400, it's like
300.
350 ish. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but then all the other ranges are huge.
Yeah, you were saying something about IMF?
No, no. So basically, yeah. I mean, based on the IO map, of course, the range is a little bit lower, right? But you can see in there, right, that after, I mean, the most significant level of resistance ahead of Bitcoin basically confirms what we're saying, right? That sits at around $42,330, which basically claiming that level will be really tough. But after Bitcoin actually is able to turn this level into support, then we could potentially have at least an upswing to the next key resistance level, which is basically like what, $46,000, based on the current perspective that we have from the IMAP, right?
Yeah, this is 46K here.
That's right.
Because we only have price information up to 46K,
Yeah,
not
that's
more than that.
correct. That's correct. Yeah. So basically, to sum up, right, what we're all seeing is a lot of resistance around the 42 to 44,000 level, right, which
Yep.
coincides with the 200-day moving average and the 50-day moving average, right. From an on perspective, we're starting to see some bullish signs, right. We're seeing a bullish divergence with the number of new addresses joining the network. The stock to flow deflection is also giving you a buying opportunity right there. From the weekly chart, we also got a buying opportunity by the TD sequential indicator, but now everything just depends on basically a rejection, or basically claiming this area of support between the 200-day MA and the 50-day MA. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. Also, like before we go there, I kind
Yep.
of have something that I want to talk about the daily active addresses for Bitcoin. Uh, Holding above 1 million was the trend when we were in like the peak bull run here. Just let me just right. So as you can see, these addresses, the daily active addresses, were steadily holding above 1 million for almost most of the bull run. But we saw a sudden drop for daily active addresses at the peak. I think somebody knew that this was the peak. At least a lot of people knew that this was the peak because we haven't seen this kind of drawdown for daily active addresses since the start of the bull run. So this is an important thing that I wanted to point out. And apart from that, we're still holding below 1 million active addresses, although we did try to surpass it over here. It's not happening. So personally, I am kind of bearish on the daily active addresses. Like it's still bearish, and since you've already gone
Well,
through a lot of these, yeah,
no, I was just going to ask you, what's the 7-day moving average on the daily active addresses? So
it's
I see
declining.
it. Yeah, I saw it made another low here according to what I see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
so we're still in the bearish
that's
territory.
not a positive trend. Yeah.
And like Ali mentioned, we kind of need to see a higher.
Yep, a higher high basically.
Yeah. So
Like
currently,
pulling a downtrend basically. So
exactly. Uh, and for 365-day MVRV, I think if the head and shoulder pattern plays out right, we could see something like this happening. Right now, we're kind of gradually going up. We could go up here, which kind of fits the scenario that Sheldon explained, which is we hit up to 45, 44K level. And then if something unexpected happens, I mean, again, like we're clutching on straws here, but yeah, I think this scenario could still be possible if the head and shoulder plays out. Something a drop like this.
Excellent.
But the
Excellent.
most yeah, going back to this thing, the number of addresses that are being addresses accumulating Bitcoin, the retail holders is completely bullish right now. I mean bearish. They're not accumulating Bitcoin whatsoever, despite this recent spike in Bitcoin price. They're still bearish. So this is where I kind of wanted to point out that the alternative .me's fear and greed index, it kind of has like 25% based on social volume.
I see.
So I think maybe we're kind of overestimating this spike up here.
I see. I see. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, like using the fear and greed index to trade is a little bit tricky. I mean, it does help, right, to kind of like know what the population is feeling, but I think that sentiment, social metrics tend to help you a little bit better.
Yeah, it's a lot better than alternative.me. Also supporting my thesis for a short is this massive spike in the 100K whales transaction count.
Mm-hmm.
It spiked to the same level that we saw somewhere over here, and then when Bitcoin dropped from 37 to 35, a $2,000 drop, right? So we
Right.
spiked here. So we could be seeing a local top form here.
But a local top from a short-term perspective or from a long-term
Yeah,
perspective?
yeah, from a short-term perspective. Like I
Exactly.
mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
this is the top, and then we'll retrace down to this demand zone here.
And then from there, basically, kind of like rebound, or let's see what happens, right?
Yep, rebound to 42, maybe sweep the highs into this demand zone.
Mm-hmm.
And in an extremely bullish scenario, right, I would see Bitcoin tag this 50% Fibonacci retracement level, which is like the whole swing down from May 19th to this thing.
Okay. Perfect.
Basically, I'm only bullish up to this point. Like, I mean, it could go to this level, but not beyond that.
Okay, okay. I'm a little bit more optimistic here, but of course we are all looking at the same level of resistance, right? Everything will depend on whether Bitcoin is able to claim 42, 43K as support or not. If it fails to do that, then expect a correction to maybe first 20K, then potentially 15K. But if we're able to, if Bitcoin is able to break through that area of resistance that Akash has marked in there between 44 and 42K, then I will expect an upswing to the middle Bollinger Band on the weekly chart, which basically sits around 49,000. But yeah, guys, we have spent enough time right here on Bitcoin. So now